he must have ran out of money. He just started gambling away his fingers. 3, 2, 1. Santiago is back from the Santiago Public Library. Just kidding. What was last week? Last week, let me think. What was last week? A lot of things happened last week. Some people were born, some people, unfortunately passed away. It's just life. But last week, let's see what that was. Labor Day. LD, they call it Labor Day. To honor, dude, Labor Day's weird too because it's a holiday that honors obviously labor of the past. I think it should celebrate, the current labor too, people who also worked hard in the past, but people who work hard now. And it might, but I think it pertains to more like people in the past that helped like build America. But it should be present too. But to see the working is different these days because COVID, it's like we live in like this constant, like ever since COVID we're living in like this like Neverland. Like nobody's like working really. They're just driving around. I don't even know how they're like paying their mortgage. Like, how the fuck are you still off from COVID? So I'm going to move closer to the mic. How are you still off from COVID? Like, how are you paying your mortgage? How are you paying your car payment? These people I see at the gas station all the time, they're just gambling. They are gambling. I saw an old guy one time, a senior citizen one time. He went into a local gas station here by where I live, literally right up the road. And older guy, probably 75, upper 70s. And he went in and I was like looking for something. I think I was looking for something to eat or I was in the cooler, fishing around for a beverage. And I heard the cashier lady tell the older gentleman that their slot machines or their like virtual slot machines were like out of order, and this guy almost had like a mental breakdown. He was like, well, how am I supposed to get my fix? These people are like addicted to it, to gambling, to sitting there, spending money not only on the machine but buying drinks and food, and just hitting a red button like it's a nuke button. They just hit this nuke button and it spins like these. They got, cool little pictures of cherries or like like a number 7, but like, it's like green. That stuff is just spinning and they're losing money left and right. And there's not guys, who are dressed up in suits and ties in there, like not even like a business casual. It's just like biker guys, like I saw one guy in there with like 3 fingers, on both hands, total. And I was like, damn, dude, like, he must have ran out of money. He just started gambling away his fingers. Like, damn, dude, I don't got 20, he's talking to his bookie. Man, I don't got $25, but here, take my pointer finger. But yeah, man, I forget where I was going with this too, but yeah, Labor Day. So we had a parade here in the town that I live in. We have an annual means yearly, I'm pretty sure. We have this tradition here of having like a Labor Day parade. And a couple of years back, I think in like 2015 or 2016, me and my band played in the parade actually. It was an interesting experience. I'll talk about that later if I can remember, because it really was an interesting experience. But yeah, so we have this parade, and it literally goes on the road right next to my house. Like I'm right there. And once it starts, you're trapped in because it goes all through town, all through like the main roads, and you're basically trapped in for like an hour and 15 minutes. But it's cool. Yeah, but Labor Day, man. Dude, I knew a guy who used to live a couple blocks away. He he didn't have a job. He worked, like he lived off the government, and he had like a disability and like welfare and stuff. But every Labor Day, he would put like construction. He would put like a construction worker's like attire on and walk around and make it look like he worked hard in like the labor force. And then the next day he was back in like Adidas, like old ripped Adidas sweatpants from like 2000. He had a coat one time that had a picture of a cat on the right. No, it was the left, like the left chest area. It looked like Garfield. And he used to wear that. And then he used to wear these Air Jordans, these AJs. He used to wear them, and he would just walk around all day. And he would talk to himself, and he kind of like had a tick to him, like he'd kind of flinch every now and then. He thought there was a bee around him or something. But yeah, dude, every Labor Day, man, he'd dress up as a construction worker and just fucking fake it, But Labor Day's weird because everybody gets off pretty much, Mostly everyone gets off. And it's a weird conundrum because most of the people who get off, they have jobs and stuff. And I wonder about the people who don't have jobs, who like have disability or just too lazy to have a job. And like they still get the benefit of the Labor Day, even though they've put in no labor in anything for like 11 years. Like they still reap the benefits of Labor Day, which I always thought that was kind of just weird how you can just walk through life and just still get the benefits of something and not have to do it. But that's life and that's America. And also, hold on, I had to take a drink of water. But yeah, man, they have this parade and it's all mostly fire trucks and politicians going through and trying to get you to vote for them, and school board, people. And then every now and then you get like a weird, like I saw a Jeep pulling a trailer, and a guy was like a DJ on there, and he was playing some Dr. Dre song to like this like really upbeat, like it was almost like Japanese music. And he was playing a Dr. Dre song, so he's, talking about smoking weed on top of, like, Japanese music. And it was weird, and it made me, like, scratch my head. I was, like, scratching my head thinking, I don't know if that works in this dimension, but you do you, yeah, because I played live in the parade. This was probably 5 years ago, the summertime, September. We had gotten somebody that my dad knew, that my dad was working for in the office, had a rollback. And if you don't know what a rollback is, it's basically when your car breaks down, that big long flatbed they come and tow it onto, that's what a rollback is. So we were like, yeah, like we could, because at that time the band the band I was in at the time, I was playing drums and was kind of taken off, and we were just looking for anything to do, and we thought it'd be cool, so we got that, and we had to wake up early and go up kind of near like our high school and like those upper streets there. And for those of you who don't know, my town's high school is basically on the top of the mountain, not the tippy top, but it's up there, and my whole town just basically is just uphill the whole time. So we started on like this little like street. And then we went down, and we had the drums set up. It was actually pretty cool. And we started, and it was going good because we were flat. And then we made like a right turn to go down this like little road that had like a slight incline to get to the main road. And we kind of like, it was like, holy shit, like we could lose our balance at any time. Basically, like you just have to drive so steady, because you're so open. Like you're just so vulnerable to this flatbed kind of thing. Hold on, I'm clicking here, so I'm gonna be right back. Oh no, never mind, it's not clicking anymore. Yeah, so you're so vulnerable, but it ended up being pretty good. I don't think it was our best performance, not because of me or anything Dylan or Matt was doing. It was just when you're used to just playing on stage, Now you're playing on the back of a truck in front of hundreds of people just over time, and it was hot. It was just a different environment. It was hard to get used to, but before you knew it, it was done. And I remember afterwards I had a terrible headache, and I came home and slept. But it was still pretty cool to say that we did that, because I don't think many people have done it. You got Boy Scouts, you got churches, you got Reverend Harry up there, waving at everybody. This is his sixth church he's been in 10 years, But yeah, you got Reverend Harry up there. You got the you got the local Dodge dealership showing the Jeeps and shit. But it's pretty cool. It's the same shit every year, but it's just tradition. So, when I was younger, because I've been living here for 17 years. When I was younger, it was just like every year is the same thing, and we like tried to get out of town for a couple of hours. And but as I get older, it's kind of nice just to sit and watch and see everybody. Same people come out every time. But that's just tradition, small town tradition. We also have a tradition in this town that if you are, let's see what the other tradition is. I have to think for a minute because I know there's another one. Basically, like if you are from another like rivalry, like high school, we basically hate you. Bangor, Penargel, green versus maroon. God forbid you got a maroon jacket on, you get crucified. They'll set you out there in a field like Nero and just crucify you. And, but yeah, little towns, traditions, kind of tight cliques. But there wasn't really many cliques though in high school, see, because there was like, your typical kind of like sports kids, and then like your weirdos and your nerds. And there wasn't much musicians, man, when I was going to school. I was a musician, and Dylan and Matt and maybe a couple of other kids, but like when people found out we were in a band, they were like dumbfounded. And then when they found out we performed and we were really good, all of a sudden like we're good enough to talk to. And I talked about this before, and I'm not on here to be like, moan and cry about, nobody paid attention. Like I had lots of friends in school. Many were like totally opposite of me. But all of a sudden, like when people find out you're legit, it's like something out of a movie, like that you'd see. How many people just like snap out of it and just think you're cool all of a sudden. But, yeah, that was an experience, though. And then COVID, dude, the other night, I think it was like 2 nights ago, I was watching TV before I went to bed, and there was this comedy show on Comedy Central, right? And for those of you who don't know who Comedy Central is, it's basically like a network on TV for comedy. So they play movies and, these like comedian like shows, like these real progressive kind of like cringy shows. And there was this like I don't know if she's a comedian or just some lady, but she hosted her own show, and it looked like it was taped in like it looked like, I don't know, you just bought like a bunch of like cheap shit from IKEA and just like set it up and then like filmed it on like a iPhone like 4, but somehow she still got a deal, and she had like all her like comedian friends on there from like New York City. And they were doing this like comedy show, and it was so cringy because the one, like the MC, like the guy, like whoever's like getting people hyped for the show, it was just like the weirdest like cult like behavior. It was like, what was he saying? He was like cheering. And he was like so happy, getting the crowd hyped up. And he's like, let's hear it for the vaccine. Let's hear it for the vaccine. Let's hear it for 6 feet social distance. It's like, dude, you are so brainwashed. You are so weird. Let's hear it for the vaccine. You're announcing it like it's like the homecoming queen. Like, why are you so weird? Comedians are funny, man. I mean, literally and figuratively, They're just funny. They're just so pretentious and political and just like, who gives a fuck what you think? Make a joke about it because that's your job, but like, don't I don't want to hear let's hear it up, let's hear it, let's hear it for the vaccine. That's just weird cult like behavior. And people are jumping up and down like it's Jonestown. It's weird. It's really weird how like politicized it's been. Like it's literally politics, and it's became politicized in such a short amount of time. Like when it first was happening, it was like it doesn't matter left, right, center, whatever. It was like, yeah, we need to wear masks and stay apart from one another. Sorry, and now it's just been just so like, okay, left, the people on the left, it's like, wear a mask, you better get vaccinated or you're a piece of shit and you don't deserve care if you get sick. And then people more on the right who are like, more about their rights and stuff like that. And I get both sides. The left seems a little more less agreeable. I mean, for you to wish somebody to not get the help they needed if they became sick with COVID just because they don't have your vaccine, you're disgusting, man. Like you've literally became the person that you became the adversary that you always spoke out against, like being so tolerant and patient with people. But then when somebody wants to choose what they want to do with their body, you get funny. You get really funny. It's just so weird. It's just so weird. And then they're the kind of people who tell you, well, you can't tell a woman to get an if she can or cannot get an abortion. And then you're turning around and forcing people to get the vaccine. It's so weird. And people are still getting COVID even with the vaccine in them. And I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that natural immunity is stronger than the vaccine itself. So people are still getting sick even with the vaccine. I think the former president or the former CEO of Pfizer even doesn't even have the vaccine, or there was some sort of thing where he said that he would have stepped down, like the former CEO said that if he was in the position now, he would have stepped down for some, whatever reason. There was a really insightful podcast I was listening to. I turned it off after I was almost to the end, but then I turned it off because the whole episode was mainly about COVID. But if you watch the newest episode of Joe Rogan, he has on he has on Brett Weinstein and his wife Heather, and they just talk about it. And these people are really smart people. They're scientists or they study some sort of thing. They're professors, and it's really insightful, and there's a lot of good stuff in there to know. So if you want to go check that out, it's like the newest episode of his on his playlist, I guess. It's like the newest one. But that's really insightful, and it gets you thinking, typical Rogan fashion, but it's just so weird. I don't know if the world will ever be the same after this. I don't know. I've talked to people who were, obviously around during 9/11, who were adults, and even an uncle of mine who he's a deputy at the courthouse, and he said that after 9/11 they were putting up all these what do you call it, like when you walk through and you got to walk through those like magnetic sensor things. The name is totally escaping my mind, but you know what I mean. And all the security, and he said he thought it was all temporary, and it's never left. You're still walking through that shit at airports and concerts, and he said that stuff really ramped up after 9/11, and he said he thought it was going to be temporary. So I don't know if the world will ever be the same after COVID, but I would hope it would go back somewhat to what it was before. People could be a little more brotherly. Christmas is coming up, and it sucks to see people so divided, and I think our Constitution, and I'm not some like radical right wing guy like all about Constitution, trying to find a loophole through everything because the Constitution says, and not all that stuff. But I think any competent person should be aware of our Constitution and what rights it does give us. And I think it's just taken an ass whooping these days. You know, like the sorry, I'm like having trouble thinking here. Like I got a concussion. Like the mandatory vaccines in some states, like New York City, like that is tyranny. That is like fucked up to force your people to get something even if they don't want to get it. That doesn't really sound like land of the free to me. You know, that doesn't sound like freedom to me. But we can't waste a good what's the famous saying? You never want to waste a good panic or something like that, or you never want to waste a good something. Sorry, there's an ant here on my desk. There's an ant here on my desk, and I just got him, but I stabbed myself in the process with this sweet switchblade that somebody gifted to me. Totally illegal. But yeah, I don't know if we're really free, or as free as we like to say we are. And I have a feeling between how we're handling COVID and this whole Afghanistan thing, I have a feeling that a lot of other countries are laughing at us right now because our president is such a fucking goofball, for the lightest term. That's the lightest, nicest term I could give him. He's such a dumbass. He's such a fucking dumbass, and I don't mean to divide anybody, any of the small group of people that listen to this. If you like Biden, that's great. I'm not too big of a fan of the guy, but what I will do that people on the left didn't do for Trump was respect him. I don't like him. I don't think he's fit for the job, but he's our president. And I hope that he makes the right decisions for us, and I hope that he does well and that he gets better. I do respect Joe Biden in that sense of where he's at. He's in charge of our country. He is our president. I don't like him, but that's what it is. So don't get mad at me or whatever. It's just my opinion. Believe me, I've had very outspoken about people on the other side too, left, right. It doesn't matter. The older I'm becoming, the more center I'm becoming. So yeah, it's just I have a feeling we're just being laughed at. We look like such idiots, the way we do things, and I don't know. It's not like it was 20 years ago, I guess. I just don't know. So hopefully that gets better, and that's that. And then, yeah, so I talked about the cringe COVID show on Comedy Central. It was so weird. And I wish I knew what the show was so I can talk shit about it. But it was really weird. It was like a homemade show, like somebody recorded on like a I don't even know, like an old camcorder from like 1990. It was so weird, but it was on like prime time. It was on at like, evening time, I guess. So people must like to watch it. And then lately too, what I've been doing was watching a lot of like Quentin Tarantino movies. And for anyone who doesn't know who he is, or, if you do know who he is but never really seen his movies, just watch any movie. He's got this thing that he wants to do that since he started doing movies, I think in like 92 is when he did Reservoir Dogs. So I think ever since then he just had the goal just to do like 9 movies or 8 movies. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was his last movie that he just did. That was 2 years ago. So he's got one more movie. He's got one more movie till he hits his number and he's out. At least according to him. But please watch, especially if you're a guy, because guys are different than the girls with violence. But if you're a guy who likes violent movies, just go watch any movie, literally any movie. Go watch Kill Bill, go watch Death Proof, go watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, go watch Django Unchained. dude, these are brilliant masterpiece movies. And he's got like Pulp Fiction too. Watch Pulp Fiction. Like, he's got like these circle of actors that he kind of rotates through all his movies. Like, Samuel L. Jackson is in almost like every one of his movies. DiCaprio's been in like Django, and he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Let's see, Brad Pitt was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was in Inglourious Bastards. He just like switches them around, which I think is pretty cool, but they're so awesome. And Kill Bill is really an awesome one. So honestly, any of them, man, check them out. The Hateful Eight, he's got so many of them already, and he's got one more. So if you're a fan of him, you got one more coming up. And you know, since it's his last one, it might be his best one, because he never just fell off. Like, he never just peaked. Like, he's just been peaking forever. Like, there's been no... Every movie is just topping, the one before it. It's like unlike anything I've ever seen before. Like, anybody you follow, like whether it's a comedian or a musician or an actor, a lot of them, they peak. Like, they start off, they go up, they have their best album or their best comedy special or their best movie, and then they just kind of, for some reason, they just kind of fall. And then, but for Quentin Tarantino, it's just been up and up and up since 92. It's just been every movie is topping the next. It's insane. So the newer ones, though, that he's been making, like in the last 10, 12 years maybe, they've just been really good. And it's cool to see how his style evolves with like the new age technology, like the cameras and the angles and stuff. Like, if you watch Reservoir Dogs from 92 versus Once Upon a Time in Hollywood from 2019, it's the same guy making it, but so much has changed since 92 to 19. It's so weird to think it's still the same guy making it, but it's cool to see him progress even with the technology. And it doesn't matter if he filmed it on a fucking cell phone or on the most expensive camera in the world. You see a Quentin Tarantino movie, you know it's Quentin Tarantino. For anyone who's listening, who's a fan of him, you know what I'm saying. You know it's him. Violent, quirky, funny, just over the top. Did I say violent? Because it's violent. It's just over the top. It's so cool. It's so awesome. So... dude, today's Sunday. Sunday, man. What a weird day, because it's like one of those days where you wake up, like, you still wake up in the morning, like, relieved, because, it's Sunday, but, like, it's one of those days that it just changes so fast, because by, like, 4 o'clock, you're already, like, depressed that, like, tomorrow's Monday. It's like those Minion memes that the boomers put on Facebook. Ugh, Mondays. And then it has, like, a minion with, like, a steaming cup of joe. It's like, why are you posting at 3 a.m.? Why are you posting? But yeah, dude, it's nice out today. It's nice out. Today's 9/12/2021. So I'm going to have to... This is going to be a shorter podcast, because I got some other stuff I got to do today. But I know I kind of been falling off, and I want to get back on uploading more and more for everyone, so you guys don't get... uninterested in me. So I'm sorry for the hiatus again. Just been busy, but yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, or I'll kill you. No, I'm kidding. Everyone, let's start living like it was 9/12/2001. Start being a little more closer to one another. Start being a little more compassion and caring towards one another. I guess that's it. See you later. Bye. Yeah, yeah, yeah.